What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as y'all know, today is indeed going to be Wednesday, which means a new summit is now live here at Motorfest. With that, we are going to have Race Anything, which is going to get us a new tire. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of getting tired of these rewards. Am I right? We're also going to have the GT 500 AmeriCar edition there, which is obviously not going to be a new vehicle. I would say a lot of players probably already own that. But moving over to the next summit, though, is Ride Anywhere. This one is going to have the Forgotten Island smoke. To be honest, I don't think that looks all that cool. I mean, it's basically leaves in the wind. We're then going to have the Nighthawk edition after that. But moving over to Risk Everything is going to be the old Rocket Company Nitro. So no, this is not going to be new. It is once again going to be a Crew 2 reward. For the final summit here, we're going to have the Fury Legacy, which is going to give us the Red Fury RX-7. I do admit this car is going to at least look unique compared to the base one, and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to build that car, so at least it is going to look pretty dang unique compared to the base RX-7. I gotta give credit where it is due there. But looking at the summit here, guys, I gotta admit, this one is honestly pretty dang simple. And if you are wondering, yes, I did not use any pro settings or any part sets as well. I was pretty much messing around casually doing this summit. Could I go back in and get better scores on basically every single race? 150% am I? Probably not. For all three skills, though, I would say pretty much all of these are going to be fairly brainless. For the slalom, I did end up jumping onto the lovely Ducati Panigale R, guys. I had a Nitro Chemist set, running skilled on every single part, got 154,000 points. I legit started, hit the objective, and that was basically it. For the buoy smashing here, though, I did end up using the Proto WR1, but you could probably run any powerboat of your liking. It is most likely going to come down to preference there, but I got 84,000 points with a maxed out score. I think I did a run before this, and I did end up messing up at the end, but I got 74,000, which was still going to be 157,000 points. Mind you, that is without a score breaker, so yeah, you pretty much don't even need one. For the speed trap is going to be a street tier 1 for this. Unfortunately, guys, there's really only one vehicle that you can run if you're looking for some of the higher score on this, which is going to be the 911 Carrera RS 2.7. I really do love how some cars are just so dang bad in this game and other ones are amazing, kind of making many of the cars completely useless. Makes a lot of sense, right? But for the other two events here I did want to talk about real quick are going to be very similar to each other. The first one here is going to be the Rally Raid Buggy, guys. So for this, it is going to be one of the regular donk events. So you're pretty much going to have to hit all three things in the final one, like hitting the gas button. That way you're then going to have nitrous. After that, though, you pretty much accelerate down. This is going to be a 50-second event in the Proto Buggy. I would say it's going to be fairly simple once you can land all four of those and get that boost. We're then going to have a Street Tier 1 event here, which is also going to be very similar to it. This is going to be in the new Mini Cooper, which I would say players are probably going to like it. They may not, they might. Who really knows on that one? Before this, once again, though, you pretty much have to get all four nitruses, or at least all four starts to get your three nitruses anyway, and then boom, pretty much follow the event after that. To be honest, it's fairly simple. We are then moving over to the Street Tier 1, which is going to be with the Chevrolet 3100. This is going to be a 3-speed truck. I did end up getting 2 minutes and 28 seconds, and it wasn't the best run, but I figured, you know what? Let me just run with this. I don't want to run this race more than once, or even twice for that matter, unless I have to. And I would say overall, this truck isn't going to be terrible, but if you are used to driving other Tier 1 vehicles, then yeah, this one's going to be pretty terrible. This event is going to be fairly straightforward. There is going to be one cut in this race to where you can like pretty much go in the middle of the turn or like hit a jump into the next straightaway into the turn, which I'll show a small clip of that area in the background. But besides that, though, this event is honestly very straightforward. We're then going to have the Racing Chevrolet Corvette C8R event here. This one is also going to be on one of the new Red Bull tracks, so again, you're going to have to hit the gas button on the things in order to get yourself all the nitrous bars. I would say you probably want to get all of them. That way you're going to be able to become the fastest in this track. For me, though, I was pretty much hitting my nitrous on the two big straightaways, giving me a bigger boost, and that was basically it on this one. I would say this event is probably fairly simple, and a lot of players have probably already recognized the event because we've done it multiple times already. We're then going to have a Rally Vehicle Loan event here, which is going to be with the lovely Puma. This is once again going to be a fairly straightforward event, guys. Again, a lot of these races, you've seen them a lot, so jumping into a different vehicle, you're most likely going to recognize the track and then figure out the turns you're going to have to take on it. The last one here is going to be with the Concept SM71, which is going to be a longer event. This one is going to be over 3 minutes and 40-ish seconds, normally to 4 minutes. And also, I was not driving that great in this event. In fact, it was honestly pretty terrible, but I didn't feel like going back in and doing this race again, so I took the 4 minutes. I could easily probably shave off around 5 to 8, even 10 seconds off the time, but to be honest, guys, I really don't see a point of doing that. Overall, though, this summit is going to be fairly simple. If you guys are looking to jump on and get yourself a tire, I would recommend getting on this and making sure you get yourself tired to get that tire. Am I right? But at least you'll get yourself a platinum tire there if you want to say it's going to be rare. Kind of isn't. Then you can look forward to one of the other island smokes after that. Then we're going to have a reused Crew 2 reward. Shocking, I know. Then we're also going to have the Fury Legacy at the end of the month. If I had to guess, a lot of players might end up jumping on just for the end of the month because a lot of the other rewards are just really terrible. Besides that, though, let's jump right into this.